For portfolio, you'll want to display all stocks that a user has, make a portfolio table, and display that portfolio. Now, portfolio would, presumably for every user, contain a bunch of rows listing the type of share that they have and then how many of those shares they have. Right now, we have a users table in our database, and that contains a user's username as well as their password and how much cash they have. Now, there's no real way of storing all of their stocks within that table. It's not like we can insert new columns for every stock. That would be a very, very long row because we have a really big quantity of types of stocks that they could have. So instead, what we'll do is that within the same database, we'll have our users table, but then we'll also have a portfolio table. Now, the portfolio table will definitely be linked to the users table, but instead, the portfolio table structure will have stock information, how many shares of that stock the user has, as well as the given user's particular ID number. Now, the users table has an ID as well as the username and the hash, which is the password, the encrypted password, and then the amount of cash that they have. Those ID numbers should be linked to each other. So the portfolio would just have the symbol of the stock as well as the shares, the number of shares, and within that portfolio table, you'd have all shares possessed by all of the users on your site. Later on, to display just one specific user's shares, only their portfolio, you can retrieve the values from your portfolios table such that the ID number is specific to the current user. But every user presumably is going to have multiple shares, so how do you display all of those rows? Well, query will actually return an array of rows. So if you iterate over that row, then you can get to every single row that matches your given query. So if I select the symbol and the shares from my portfolio table where the ID is the current user's ID, the session ID, then I can use a for each loop in PHP, quite a useful loop here, and iterate over, accessing the particular value in the associative array that I need at that time. Here, the symbol in row and the shares in row. Now, where do you do this? Well, index.php is the controller because it calls render portfolio.php. So that means that portfolio.php is the template. So we need to think about what variables we need to pass in from index, which will do all of the querying, into portfolio. We need to report at minimum each of the stocks in a user's portfolio, the number of shares that they have, and the current value, which is going to be the stock's current price times the number of the shares, in addition to the user's current cash balance. With that, they can see their entire stock portfolio.